Hey everyone, so today's video is the video to document the installation process of a pre-built shed that I got from Backyard Outfitters. What you're looking at in this photograph is a picture of the backside of my 3-car garage. This is the area where I've got my lathe in and my welders, my welding table, and it's where I have designated to do, a lot of the welding and fabrication work that I'm doing. So the garden bed behind here that's completely overgrown is going to be removed. And if you look closely in this photograph, you'll see a couple of stakes off to the right. I've got to remove topsoil, the entire garden bed and the topsoil out to those stakes. And the reason being is I plan on doing a lean-to off of the side of this shed where I can build an outdoor kitchen. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and we'll have some videos to come about that. But, this one here, we're just getting the shed installed. So, in this photograph here, got my neighbor Cameron. It's a younger kid that, they've got a Kubota tractor, a small one, one of those mid-sized tractors, 4-wheel drive, front-end loader with a backhoe on it. He brought that over and we removed the topsoil, which is a very important part of this because the topsoil is soft. If you don't get down to a nice compact base before you put the gravel in for the bed, what you're going to have is a situation where as this gets wet, you're going to get settling, the dirt will move, the topsoil will move, and the shed will no longer sit flat. So we got the topsoil all torn out. We got 20 tons of number 2 crushed limestone, and we're spreading that out for the base and leveling it out as best as possible without getting super nitpicky. It's pretty good. So here's some footage of Cameron helping me spread out the gravel. Basically I'm pointing out the areas where I need him to dump loads, and he's coming in and dropping it, and I'm spreading it out with a rake. So it's a pretty quick process. There's a lot of gravel down, trying to get this leveled out was really difficult with the machine's not super powerful, and I didn't want to take up a ton of his time, and it is what it is. So you can see the base is a little bit lumpy, plus it's literally frozen right now while we're working, which posed a little bit of an issue with packing this down into place because the base was not moving. It was not getting compacted because it was frozen, just the gravel was. So that, after I compacted it the next day, well, not the next day, but a couple days later, it thawed out, and I could tell it was shifting around. So I got all that stuff addressed. I borrowed a vibrator compactor from my other neighbor, and this all worked out great, and Cameron was a huge help. This is the finished pad. Everything's smoothed out as much as possible. Ignore the trash behind the garage. It is what it is. That stuff's getting tossed out. And here we are on the day of delivery. My other neighbor allowed me to borrow their driveway because it had been raining, pouring rain, and the ground was heavily saturated. We had abnormally warm temperatures, so that kind of put a little bit of a damper on it. But then again, if it was too cold, we would have been buried in snow, and this would have never got delivered. So my neighbor was kind enough to let us use their driveway. This was a pretty quick process, so we didn't block it up for very long. Brought it down their driveway because their house is behind mine. So we brought it behind the garage point, and we're just going to come straight across and set it in place. And this trailer is pretty awesome. It's got a hydraulic extendable tongue. It works like a roll-off flatbed tow truck, except for it's got tires between the axles that hydraulically drop down and drive the trailer side to side if you need to. Super cool setup. Right now what he's doing is he's getting ready to put some dollies underneath the end of the shed that's lifted up, and you can see here they just slide into place, and he just sets it down on it and it holds it. Then he uses this machine, which is called a mule. It attaches to the other side of the shop, and you can see right here, he's setting it up, hooking it underneath and lifting it up, and that third wheel that you see on that mule lifts up out of the way, and this thing raises up and drives the whole thing around like a trailer. It's a pretty cool setup. Real easy to maneuver. If you needed to, you could have moved those dollies on the shed to to make this have a tighter turning radius, but it wasn't necessary in this situation. So you got to apologize about the footage here because he came solo, which is typical of when you get these types of sheds delivered, and I didn't have anybody at the house to help, and I was concerned about the low-hanging branches and damaging it. So I'm trying to get you guys good footage without risking tearing up the building because nobody's spotting him. So apologize about that. This area of the yard was wet, but it wasn't heavily saturated. It's a high point in the yard, so he was able to drive straight across there. The night before, I cleared out some debris out of the way to give him room and spread some extra gravel off the side where he's getting ready to drive up on, because it was a little bit sloppy in there to make sure that the transition between the dirt and the gravel was smoother for him, and everything worked out great. I had to stop the video footage here real soon because he got jammed up between where the building needed to sit and the garage, and I literally, I had to help him out with it. It was just getting too complicated to shoot video. So that's basically where we're at. So we got it all set into place. Took him about 30 minutes to do this, from the time I pulled into the driveway to the time this thing was set down. And I had signed the paperwork. I gave the guy a tip because the conditions out here were pretty bad, and he knocked it out and didn't complain and didn't tear up the yard too much and didn't tear up the neighbor's driveway. So I gave him a decent tip and thanked him for that. But yeah, it went a lot smoother than I anticipated. So let's just give you a quick, view of what I've got going on in the yard. So we got the pool back here. Property line's a little bit in the bushes. Kind of goes towards the neighbor's shop back there. That fence line's my property line. This pool's going away next spring. This deck, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's in really good shape, but without the pool, it's unnecessary. This here is one of the shops on the property. It's a 20 by 50. The back wall is actually the property line, and it goes over to there. Like I said, it's a real old building, farm building that was grandfathered in. Needs a little bit of work, but overall it's structurally fine. Using it as a wood shop and just ultimately a bunch of trash storage, where I got a bunch of my stuff at until I can get more organized. That's the house, and that's my 3-car garage where I've got my welders and my lathe and stuff like that. I'm trying to get everything out of that building. That's the goal. I want it to be, first off, I want to insulate it, but I want it to be strictly just for workspace. I don't want storage for anything other than metal storage in there. But other than that, I just want it to be workspace. I want to heat it, insulate it, heat it, and that's that. So there's a bunch of stuff in there that will be put inside this, and that's why I got this the size that I did. Come over here, you see this back half of my lawn gets really wet. Normally it's not this wet. It's about halfway between the shed and you can kind of see where the ground crest starts dipping down towards that fence. Where it starts dipping down, it gets really wet along that fence. We got our fire pit here. This is the soil from the old garden that was removed from there. So that's going to be spread out in the spring, and I'll probably line this gravel base with that. So let me give you a quick, I had to stop the video while he was setting it because he was having some issues with, space between here, because when he pulled it in, the mule was attached to this side of the shed, and he brought it in. Initially, you can see where the mule was turning here and tore up the gravel a little bit, and then he shimmied it sideways this way and brought it into the paint line where I wanted it, but he was jammed up in here and couldn't push it any further. So he set it down on some 4-inch PVC tubes and then brought the mule around to this other side and snatched it up, pushed it in a little bit, and then brought it over to the line and set it down. Boom, that easy. This is the only stuff that he kind of tore up, and this was tore up to begin with, you know, because from us moving this dirt over here. So, you know, he created a couple little ruts in here, but like I said, most of this was already tore up. So, did a really good job. I'm very happy. The shed itself, the plan was to line up this facing wall with the garage so that they're like on the same plane. We're right there. And then what I'm going to plan on doing is on this wall, I got a roll-up door I'm going to install in here so I can bring the mower in and out of this side during the summertime and springtime, so I can easily cut the grass and keep it out of the, you know, keep it out of the driveway and stuff, or keep it out of the garage. This side of the building, I'm going to build a lean-to, which is just an awning for people that don't know. And, you know, the posts will come down out here. And I want to turn this into an outdoor kitchen space out here. So that's the plan. I'll probably utilize some of this wood from the deck to do that. As far as this is concerned, I'm very pleased with it. I knew I would be, because I've seen these, you know, I've seen them on the side of the road and stopped and went to take a look at them. So I was confident that I was going to like them. So these latches are little spring-loaded deals. You know, nothing overly exciting, but you know, the build quality of this is pretty good. This is definitely, you know, there's the door. It's got the angled supports on there for squaring it up. The only upgrades I did to this was the flooring, which is 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood, and the wall height. The walls, I don't know what the standard height, I think someone's around like 7 feet. And I did 8-foot walls. It's actually, I think it's like 92 inches. So it's not quite 8 feet, but pretty damn close. You know, that gives me a lot of headroom in here. So one of the other plans is from about this stud here to build a shelf across that way, so that, you know, I can put the quad or, you know, other things I can just push under there, snow blowers, whatever, and I'll have a shelf above it where I can put storage bins and things and maximize my storage space, and be able to get not only things out of my garage, but get some of the things out of here, you know, or maybe some of the stuff we got in the basement that I don't really want in our basement. So the framing on here is, you know, you got your hurricane straps. And, you know, I don't see any, like, shitty wood. I mean, everything looks good. All the framing's nice and tight. I don't see any gaps in any of the walls. You know, as far as, like, sometimes your studs will be cut a little funky or whatever. Everything looks solid. Studs are 16 inches on center. I don't know if that's a New York thing. Originally, when I was ordering this, the standard was 24 inches on center. But when I ordered it, they told me that because that they were changing that to 16 inches on center. Sorry about the lighting. The doors are swinging open and closed. I'm gonna have to put some straps on them to keep them open, or maybe some gas shocks or something like that. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it, because, you know, brown metal roofing on top of the OSB. So if I ever wanted to insulate this, it's all ready. I mean, it's ready to go. I could easily put a ceiling in here. You know, it's got the venting and whatnot for the attic space. I could easily put a ceiling inside of this and use it as, you know, if I wanted to, I could use this as a workshop. So I'm going to drag power to it for sure from the garage. Get this latched up. It's cold. Rainy, drizzly, cold, and just super annoying right now. This latch is, you know, leaves something to be desired. Not a big fan of that, but it works. I knew that that's what they came with, so it's not like it's an issue. It holds tight. You know, definitely not weather, like wind tight. There's going to be air that gets in there, but it's a shed. I'm happy with it. So, yeah, that's the update. Thank you guys for watching. Like always, subscribe, comment, like, and I'll be sure to update you guys as I continue on with the outdoor kitchen portion of this and any changes that I do to the interior of it. And yeah, and hopefully I'll be getting to work on some projects here soon that I plan on actually recording. I got this trailer project back over there that I'm building for a buddy it's almost done. It's about 75% finished. I really wanted to document that, and I have some footage of it, but not a lot, so it'll probably be just a quick, hey, look what I made video. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.